No horses, no rifles this time. Now it's drones, cyberattacks, and an AI-fueled civil war. If the states break away, who does the American military even point their guns at? The answer, yeah, it's as bad as you think. It kicked off on a Tuesday morning. Picture all those office workers, clutching their Starbucks, jamming up I-95. Not a soul bothered to look up. Everyone's head down, glued to those greasy little screens. Then, nothing. No buzz, no alert, nothing at all. That was the whole problem. Digital silence. Picture the giant screens at the New York Stock Exchange just going black. Not some random power outage, this was data, money, identity, all wiped out. In Times Square, all that neon filth suddenly flipped to no signal, static. That's when it felt like someone just yanked the plug on civilization. And right then, the Texas governor grabbed the old-school radio, patched in with Florida and Alabama, and said it plain. The authority of the federal government is null and void within our state borders. Any federal entity entering our territory will be considered a hostile element. By then, DC's bureaucrats were already halfway to their bunkers. This wasn't Gettysburg or Antietam. This was a live fire test of a generation that loses their minds over a lost Wi-Fi password now, with kamikaze drones raining from the sky. And yeah, it started bloody. Day one. Smart traps and the GPS graveyard. The first hit didn't come with bullets, it started with code. By noon, smart home systems coast to coast locked up. Thermostats cranked to 104. Front doors stuck shut. People trapped inside their own high-tech cages. Out on the highways, Teslas on autopilot froze or plowed right into barriers. Not a random glitch, a kill switch. Secessionist programmers already deep inside federal networks flipped it, just like that. Suburban peace in Chicago, gone. People ran out for milk and hit a wall, the declined beep from dead credit cards. Cash was a memory. ATM lines wrapped around the block. Civilization's ice sheet, thinner than anyone guessed. I watched a guy slam his iPhone 16 into an ATM. No rage, just raw panic. He finally got it. That $500,000 in the bank? Just numbers. And now, even the numbers were gone. By nightfall, blood had already spilled. Not from soldiers, from neighbors, strangling each other over Walmart shelves. A woman in her 50s smashing a kid in the face with a can of corn, fighting over the last case of water, blood spreading out on scuffed tile. That was the first battle of Civil War II. The front line. Walmart aisle 4. Day 2. Eyes in the sky. The first drone strike. Panic set in across DC. The kill zone around the White House stretched wider and wider. But the real threat didn't come on foot. The secessionist Free States Alliance, Texas, Florida, the Southern Bloc, made their first move without risking a single soldier. At the Maryland border, a federal army convoy rolled down I-95. Suddenly, the sky turned black. Not clouds, a swarm of cheap commercial drones, all rigged with C4, all synced with AI. Suicide drones. Armor and training didn't mean a thing. That noise, just a low, angry buzzing, would haunt survivors for years. Someone leaked GoPro footage from inside that convoy. The dark web still held together. A soldier fired into the air. But what do you aim at? Drones crashed into tank grills, slipped right through helmet gaps. The explosions just kept coming. Asphalt melted. Limbs and metal scattered everywhere. That chemical stink, all burning plastic and oil, was the scent of modern war. The message shot around the globe. Human soldiers are done. Whoever writes the best code wins. The federal government didn't wait. They ripped the internet out of the East Coast. National security, they called it. Now everyone was cut off. No calls, no news, no nothing. Rumors flew faster than the truth. Texans with nukes. Chinese troops on the West Coast. Nobody knew what was real. Fear became the sharpest weapon, and everyone's finger hovered on the trigger. Day 3. witch hunts in the suburbs and purple zones. On the third day, the social contract got flushed down the toilet like toilet paper. Those invisible lines between city centers, blue, Democrat, and rural areas, red, Republican, were now minefields. But the real tragedy happened in those purple suburbs caught in between. In the outskirts of Atlanta, in those protected, gated communities, neighbors started ratting each other out. What flag hung in whose yard? Who voted for whom in the last election? Facebook profiles turned into death warrants. I spoke with a guy named Mike, a former cop who'd taken on the role of neighborhood security chief. His eyes were bloodshot. "Last night," he said, lighting his cigarette with trembling hands, "my next-door neighbor, Dave. We've barbecued together for 10 years. Last night they wrote traitor on his window and threw a Molotov. When Dave ran outside, I had to shoot him. I didn't ask why, because there was no reason. There was only fear. Those not with us had to die. The streets became playgrounds for paramilitary groups, looters, and civilians who didn't know what they were doing, just pulling triggers because they were scared. Police? There was no police. That busy signal when you dialed 911 was the voicemail of hope, and nobody was calling back. By evening, the sky turned a strange orange. Fires. From Los Angeles to Chicago, uncontrolled fires were devouring cities. Fire crews couldn't leave their stations for fear of being shot by snipers. The smell of burning tires mixed with the smell of rotting garbage starting to decay, and that smell stuck to your lungs. It was the smell of civilization's rotting corpse. At midnight, a final emergency alert system, ES, broadcast came from the federal government. The lucky minority with working TVs or radios heard the president's trembling voice. "This is not a rebellion. This is an existential war. I invite our citizens to use every means available to protect their homes." Translation: "We can't protect you. Arm yourselves and fend for yourselves." That night, the United States of America officially died. What replaced it was a survival simulation so savage, chaotic, and bloody, it would make Mad Max films look like documentaries. And we still hadn't seen the worst. Power plants hadn't been targeted. Poison hadn't been mixed into water networks. We were just warming up. Orders received to continue. Protocols canceled. Mercy disabled. In the first 6 hours after that goddamn president's fend for yourselves speech, the American continent emerged from civilization into a blood-powered machine, stuck between the Stone Age and cyberpunk hell. Nobody slept that night. Those who slept never woke up again. Get this through your heads. Hunger kills people, yes, but thirst turns people into monsters. And at dawn on day 4, in that arid basin stretching from Las Vegas to Phoenix, only a rusty hissing sound came from the taps. Day 4, the desert's revenge and toilet water wars, the Las Vegas Strip. That neon temple where electricity used to be wasted was now the world's most expensive graveyard. Bellagio's famous fountains had dried up. The pool bottom turned into a mossy mud field. And the people, oh those people. The types who blew fortunes at slot machines were now cracking each other's skulls with crowbars to drink the water in hotel toilet tanks. Let me tell you what happened in a hotel lobby. I won't name it. Doesn't matter anymore. A group of armed looters, former casino security, burst in with AR-15 seconds. Their goal wasn't money. They didn't even look at the cashier's office. They ran to the kitchen, to those massive refrigerators where frozen food had thawed, where meat was rotting and spreading that disgusting, sweetish smell. There, they cut off a mother's finger for a bottle of Evian water. The woman's scream echoed off the crystal chandeliers in the lobby, but nobody turned to look, because everyone was chasing their next sip. At the Arizona border, things were more technologically savage. Autonomous water tankers. Yes, you heard that right. That future Musk or Bezos imagined. was now autonomous tankers, protected by armed drones rolling down the highways. The rich were transporting water to their bunkers. People with swollen tongues, cracked skin from dehydration, tried to attack these tankers by the roadside. The result? The AI-controlled turrets on the tankers identified people as threat elements. 50 caliber rounds etched flesh and bone into the asphalt. Blood mixed with dried dirt, but water. Water only flowed to the rich. Day 5. Metal dogs and deepfake chaos. Day 5 was the day truth died. Internet was patchy cloud. Sometimes it came, sometimes it went. But when it came, what it brought wasn't information. It was poison. A video started circulating on social media for those who could still access it. The leader of the Free States Alliance, the Texas governor, got in front of cameras saying, "We surrender, join the federal army." The footage was HD quality. That slight Texas accent in the voice tone was flawless. There was just one problem. This was a deepfake. A perfect lie generated by artificial intelligence. Because of this video, an alliance unit at the Oklahoma border lowered their weapons. The approaching federal troops or mercenaries in federal uniforms, who knows, mowed them down instead of taking prisoners. Hundreds of soldiers were stuffed into trenches as victims of software. After this incident, nobody believed anything on screen. The chain of command completely collapsed. Now every unit, every militia group had declared its own little kingdom. But the real nightmare started in city centers. You know those yellow robot dogs you saw dancing in Boston Dynamics videos and said, "How cute." They mounted M249 machine guns on them. In Chicago streets, these metal beasts patrolled, detecting curfew violations. They didn't get tired. They didn't get scared. They showed no mercy. With their thermal cameras, they detect a family hiding in the rubble and riddle the wall with holes within seconds. I had a chance to talk, over shortwave radio, with a group hiding in an apartment basement. The man's voice was trembling. We heard a scratching at the door, thought it was a dog. When we opened it, that thing's red laser landed on my eye. Before I could close the door, it shot my wife. That thing's not alive, but it seemed to take pleasure in killing. Technology was supposed to save us, right? It turned into hounds, hunting us. Day 6, hospital triage and the smell of death. Day 6 was the day the generators ran out of fuel. In New York, the corridors of Presbyterian Hospital were indistinguishable from Dante's Inferno. When the electricity went, the respirators went silent. Imagine that moment, hundreds of machines going silent at once and being replaced by the rattle of choking people. The doctors, they'd tossed the Hippocratic Oath in the trash on day 1. Now they held not stethoscopes but 9mm pistols and triage lists in their hands. They decided who would live, who was a waste of resources. Over 70, pull the plug. Diabetic and need insulin? Sorry, that insulin's reserved for a young militia leader. In the hospital yard, when body bags ran out, they started stuffing the dead into garbage bags and stacking them. That smell, that nose-burning smell of rotted flesh, urine, and disinfectant, mixed together, settled over Manhattan like fog. The rats were having a feast. Those massive New York subway rats had now surfaced, sampling the fresh meat. In the streets, a barter economy had begun. The dollar was more worthless than toilet paper. The valid currency was antibiotics. I saw fathers selling their daughters for a box. God damn it, I saw it. Clean water, bullets, 5.56mm rounds were more precious than gold. On I-95, in makeshift markets set up among abandoned cars, human dignity was for sale. I witnessed a man giving his wedding ring and Rolex watch for a sealed can of dog food. The seller took the watch, threw it on the ground and yelled, "I can't eat this, you stupid bastard. Give me bullets." And that evening, those strange flashes appeared in the sky. because there was no light pollution. The stars were very bright, but these flashes weren't stars, satellites in orbit, colliding with each other, being hit by lasers or hacked and dropped into the atmosphere. When communication went completely, burning pieces of metal started raining from the sky, like God saw the disgrace he'd created and was spewing fire down on us. There was no state anymore, no states, just us and them were always enemies hiding something to eat. And just when we said, it can't get worse than this, at the end of that pitch-black night, on the horizon toward Pennsylvania, we saw that cloud rising in a mushroom shape, dirty, yellowish, not like sunrise. Nuclear? Chemical? Or a nuclear plant meltdown? Nobody knew. All we knew was the wind was bringing that deadly dust toward us. I'm continuing. This is the last recording. If you're reading this, it means you're in a hole that still has electricity. Lucky you, that mushroom cloud. Everyone said, the Russians did it. Some screamed, China hit us. But the truth came out when that radioactive dust filled our lungs. It wasn't Russia or China. This was the Limerick nuclear plant in Pennsylvania. A cyber attack had locked the cooling systems into overload mode. Personnel had fled. The reactor core melted, and that goddamn concrete dome couldn't hold the hell inside anymore. It wasn't snow falling from the sky. It was death. Gray, sticky ash with a metallic taste. Philadelphia and the Delaware River Basin were gone from the map. We called it the dead zone. It only took a few hours for the wind to carry this ash to New York and Washington. Day 7. Gray silence and the suicide epidemic. On the morning of Day 7, the noise of war stopped. Gunshots ceased. Why? Because nobody trying to breathe under that gray ash had the strength to pull a trigger. Walking through the streets, I had a gas mask. God bless the day I looted that hardware store. I saw a scene I'll never forget. Central Park was pure white, but not snow white, corpse gray. Ash had accumulated on tree branches instead of leaves. There were people sitting on benches, not moving, some holding hands, some with bags over their heads, having taken their last breaths. Mass suicides had begun. Those who didn't want to wait for radiation poisoning, vomiting, hair loss, bloody diarrhea to start, had saved that last bullet for themselves. At the base of a skyscraper, I saw a pile of bodies slammed into the pavement, like it had rained people from the sky. Wall Street brokers in their expensive Italian suits had become piles of meat on the sidewalk. Dollars spilling from their pockets mixed with that gray ash and scattered in the wind. Money. It was just paper now. Even toilet paper was more valuable. After new feudalism and techno-lords, after Day 7, we stopped keeping a calendar, because time had no meaning anymore. The concept of United States of America evaporated with that radioactive cloud. So what happened? Mad Max? No, that would be too romantic. What happened was the Middle Ages without Wi-Fi. The federal government completely collapsed. Washington, D.C. became a ghost town because of radiation. I don't even care what happened in the president's bunker. They probably ate each other in there. Outside, a new order was established. Corporate feudalism, Amazon, Tesla, Google. These companies' massive data centers and logistics warehouses became the new castles. They had their own generators, their own food stocks, and most importantly, their own private security armies, mercenaries. Around Seattle, a prime zone was declared. If you accepted working in those warehouses, slavery. That is, they gave you one clean meal and radiation-free water per day. What did they want in return? Loyalty and physical labor. For those outside, life was pure savagery. What we called I-95 clans, cannibal gangs blocking highways, emerged. Eating human flesh stopped being taboo and became necessity. I saw that empty look in the eyes of types. who used to share vegan recipes on Instagram while roasting the leg of a skin and bones child over a fire. Conscience is a luxury that comes with a full stomach. When you're hungry, your conscience digests itself like your stomach. New geography. Poisoned lands. We had to redraw the map. East Coast. Ash zone. Radioactive, dangerous, and deadly. Only scavengers and madmen live here. Texas and the South. Oil Kingdom. They closed their borders not with walls but with minefields and autonomous turrets. They turn anyone trying to get in into biofuel without question. Midwest. Agricultural areas fell into the hands of religious fanatics. A group called New Testament militias crucifies people in cornfields. Technology forbidden. Electricity is the devil's work. Finale. An empire's tombstone. I'm making this recording in the ruins of an old FEMA camp, inside a rusty container. My battery's about to die. Outside, there's that whistling, bone-chilling sound of wind and howls. Human, dog, or some mutated mix of both. I don't know. Yesterday, I found a kid in the rubble, about 6 to 7 years old. He had a tablet in his hand. Battery long dead, screen cracked. He turned to me and asked, pointing at that black screen, "How do you get into this?" My dad said the world was hidden inside it. What was I supposed to tell him? That world was a lie, kid. That world was a hallucination plugged into electricity and we pulled the plug. I said nothing. I took the tablet from his hand and threw it into that meager fire we'd built for warmth. As the plastic melted, that black smoke was the last breath of the American dream. One last thing. Hollywood lied. Heroes didn't come. Scientists didn't find the vaccine at the last minute. The president couldn't make that inspiring speech. Only darkness came. And in this darkness, man wasn't man's wolf. Man became man's food. If you're getting this message, don't leave your location. Because outside there's nowhere to go. Heaven's closed. Hell has reached capacity. We're in between, in purgatory, drowning in our own filth. God bless America. Don't make me laugh. God left America a long time ago, and he forgot to turn off the lights on his way out, so we burned down the house.